The first thing you notice is the key. It's on the hook by the door, same as always. A plain brass key on a plain brass ring, the kind you'd use to open a storage unit or a mailbox. Nothing about it suggests what it opens. Nothing about it suggests that in 3 years you'll turn it in your palm at 2 in the morning and not recognize the hand holding it. But that's later. Right now, it's your first day. You grew up in Akron, which is a city that teaches you early that beauty is not the point. The point is function. The point is getting through. Your mother worked the early shift at a packaging plant and came home smelling like machine oil and something synthetic you could never name. Your father fixed appliances until the appliances got cheap enough that people stopped fixing them. You had a plan. Not a grand one, just a plan. Study business administration. Get a job that required a tie. Move somewhere with a downtown that ran past midnight. Come back only for Christmas. That was the plan. You were 22 when it started coming apart, and 23 when you walked through a door you had been standing in front of for 6 months already. The store is called Night Charm. It sits between a phone repair kiosk and a vape supply shop on a side street in Columbus, the kind of street that exists in every city but nobody from the nice parts ever walks down on purpose. The window display is tasteful, as these things go. Violet lighting. A satin blindfold draped over a faceless mannequin bust. A candle beside it. An arrangement that reads more like a still life than an advertisement. The sign is small. You'd walked past it 17 times on your way to and from a call center job that paid $12 an hour and required you to apologize in a pleasant voice to people who were furious about their internet connection. You answered the ad because it said retail experience preferred, open mind required, and you had both, and rent was due. Here's the thing. You had a version of yourself you were protecting back then, a small one. A version that had a friend named Marcus who was studying architecture and still believed the two of you would eventually get apartments in the same building and have Sunday dinners and grow old somewhere worth growing old. A version that called his mother on Thursdays. A version that had never done anything that couldn't be undone. The brass key opens the back stock room. Carolina trains you on a Tuesday that looks exactly like every other Tuesday. She's been there 6 years, which is the first thing that surprises you. You didn't think people stayed. She's 34, hair pulled back, reading glasses on a chain around her neck, and she explains the stockroom system with the same tone a pharmacist uses to explain a dosage. Clear, specific, no opinion attached. Argeable models get returned in the first week. The motor, always the motor, and which harnesses people buy once and keep for a decade. You learn that the people who come in on weekday afternoons are almost always alone, almost always polite, and almost always want to be treated like they've come in for a lamp or a kitchen timer. You learn the difference between a customer who wants information and a customer who wants to be seen, and you learn which one requires more from you. The second thing you learn is that people's cruelty and people's tenderness live closer together than you thought. A man buys a gift set, champagne-scented massage oil, a silk tie, something battery-operated in a velvet box, and his hands shake at the register. A woman in a business suit spends 40 minutes asking careful questions and leaves with something small, the size of a deck of cards, wrapped in tissue paper, and says, "Thank you," in a voice that means something more than thank you. Carolina says, "The job is to make the transaction feel normal. That's all. That's the whole job." What they don't tell you is that making things feel normal is the most skilled thing a person can do, and that once you're good at it, you start doing it everywhere. In conversations that should be difficult, in situations that should feel wrong. You get very good at making things feel normal. The brass key sits in your pocket every shift. You stop noticing its weight around week 3. By the 3rd month, you know things. Real things. Mechanical things. The kind that make the world feel less foreign. You know which products sell after Valentine's Day and which sell before it, and what that difference means about loneliness and hope. You know certain manufacturers bean offers operate in a gray area of FDA classification, novelty versus medical device, and that this distinction determines everything from labeling to liability. You know the couples who come in together are almost always in a better place than the couples who never would. By the way, subscribe for more. You know Carolina's system for the holiday inventory, the way she tracks what returns and what doesn't, the spreadsheet she built herself over 3 years. You know she has a daughter in Portland and a sister she talks to every Sunday. You know she could have managed somewhere larger and chose not to. Why? You ask her once. She thinks about it. Because here I know what I'm doing, and I know why. The money isn't extraordinary yet, but it's reliable. You stop apologizing about internet connections for $12 an hour. You start building a small thing, savings, stability, the sense that you are accumulating something instead of just spending your hours. You call Marcus. You tell him it's going fine. He asks what the job is like, and you tell him the parts that are true and skip the parts that require explanation. He's got an internship now, an actual architecture internship. You tell him that's incredible. You mean it. You also feel for the first time a small and specific distance between you and the version of yourself that had Sunday dinners in the plan. The 4th month, Carolina offers you the assistant manager role. It means closing shifts, inventory authority, handling the online orders that have started overtaking the in-person sales. It means a raise that allows you to move to a one-room apartment with windows that face east. You take it without hesitation. Here's the thing. That should have been a moment. Looking back, it feels like it should have had weight. Like there should have been something in your body that registered it as a turning point. But it didn't feel like that. It felt like a Tuesday. It felt like the obvious next step. That's the part nobody warns you about. The moments that change, you never announce themselves. They come in looking like solutions. You close the shop alone for the first time on a Wednesday in November. You lock the front door, run the register report, check the stockroom, set the alarm, and lock the back door with the brass key. You stand in the side street for a moment. The traffic is still moving. The vape place next door is dark. You feel like someone who belongs somewhere. Not to this street, not to this specific life, but to the category of people who have a place they're responsible for. A door they lock, a key in their pocket that matters. You don't know, standing there, that the key is the thing you'll carry, that it will be in your hand the night you do the thing you can't undo, that you'll look at it afterward and understand everything about yourself that you didn't before. The 6th month, you meet Raymond. He's not a villain. That's important. He's a man who built a distribution business out of a storage unit in Cincinnati 10 years ago and now moves product across 6 states, lubricants, devices, novelties, the whole taxonomy, and has opinions about import regulations and the difference between what is legal and what is permitted. He comes into the shop because he is evaluating retail partners for his supply network. He is direct. He is intelligent. He has the kind of confidence that comes from having been right often enough that the cost of being wrong doesn't frighten him anymore. He looks at the stockroom and asks you 7 questions. You answer all of them correctly. He looks at you differently after that. Carolina said you have a head for systems, he says. I'm learning, you say. No, he says. You already have it. Learning is just what you're calling it while you get comfortable. He offers you a consultancy role, not a replacement for your current job, a supplement. You would receive product allocations at a discount in exchange for visibility into retail performance data, regional patterns. What sells, where, at what price, useful information, not illegal, just adjacent. You ask Carolina about it. She is quiet for a long moment. Raymond is smart, she says. He's also the kind of smart that expands until it fills whatever room you give it. You hear this. You understand it abstractly. You say yes anyway. That was your choice. Nobody misled you. Nobody forced your hand. You had all the information you needed, and you chose the expansion. The next year unfolds the way these things do. Incrementally, logically, each step following from the last with a clarity that feels like progress. The consultancy arrangement grows. The shop's inventory expands into categories Carolina would not have chosen. Imports with no English labeling. Products from manufacturers Raymond describes as pre-certification. Things that exist in the window between what the market wants and what it's allowed to have. You tell yourself you're modernizing. You tell yourself the market demands it. Both things are true. Neither of them is the whole truth. Raymond introduces you to suppliers who don't leave written records of their answers. You learn to answer verbally. You learn the difference between a gray market and a black one. And you learn, uncomfortably, that the line between them depends almost entirely on who is asking. Carolina watches you. She doesn't say much, but you see it. The way she holds herself slightly apart from the new inventory. The way she'll ring up a candle or a card but lets you handle the unlabeled boxes. The way she looks out the east window on her breaks and comes back to herself. She has a notebook she carries. A plain gray notebook she writes in on breaks and closes before you can see it. Not a secret exactly. Just private. One afternoon she says, without looking at you, "There are two ways to stay in a place, you know. You can grow with it, or you can become it. They feel the same from inside until they don't." You say, "Command, I'm just being practical." She nods. She doesn't argue. That's when you know she's already decided something. The night it happens is a Thursday in March. Raymond calls you at 11 p.m. There's a shipment that needs to clear through the shop's inventory, legitimately on paper, with your name as the receiving manager. It's a shortcut around a supplier's customs issue, he says. It's temporary. It resolves in 30 days. No risk to you. You hold the brass key in your hand while he talks. You just notice it, the way you sometimes suddenly notice your own breathing. You think about Carolina's notebook. You think about Marcus, who sent you a photo 3 weeks ago of a building he'd helped design, a real one, with his name in small letters on the planning documents. You think about the person who had a plan involving a downtown that ran past midnight and Christmas visits and Sunday dinners. You think, this is the moment. Not dramatically, not with music underneath it. Just, this is the moment, and you know what you're going to do, and you're going to do it anyway. And the knowing doesn't stop you. Okay, you say. You hear him exhale. You put the brass key on the counter. The collapse comes the way Carolina said things come, by expansion until the room can't hold it. The supplier's customs issue is not resolved in 30 days. It is investigated. The investigation includes your records, your name on the inventory documents, the arrangement with Raymond, who is cooperative with investigators in a way that clarifies exactly how much he was ever your partner. Carolina leaves in May. She doesn't make a speech. She gives her notice in writing, takes her notebook, says goodbye to each regular customer on her last day by name. She moves back to Akron. You hear through someone else that she opens her own small shop. Candles, bath things, nothing complicated, and that it does modestly well. She keeps her Sundays. She holds on to the thing she'd been protecting all along. You go through the legal process. You pay a fine that is significant but survivable. You are not imprisoned. You lose the assistant manager role, the arrangement with Raymond, the apartment with east-facing windows. You lose the particular feeling of locking a door that matters. You lose Marcus too, not in a fight, not in a rupture, just in the slow, ordinary way that people who are building different lives eventually stop fitting into the same weekend. 7 years later, you live in Seattle. You work in logistics. Legitimate logistics, the kind with paper trails and unremarkable hours. You are good at your job. You are not extraordinary at it. You call your mother on Thursdays when you remember. The brass key is in a box in your closet. You came across it during a move and couldn't throw it away. It is a plain key on a plain ring. It opens nothing now. It is smaller than you remember. Which is not true, of course. Objects don't shrink. You just held it when you were larger, when you were still the person who thought the weight of a key was a feeling worth chasing. You think about Carolina sometimes. Not with sentiment, just with the specific clarity of a person who took something seriously and protected it. She held her notebook. She held her Sundays. She looked at the door Raymond was offering and decided she already knew the price. She's not happy in the way that songs describe happiness, but she's whole in a way that has no opposite. You sit with the key in your palm and you look at it for a long time. And what you want to know, what you have never been able to fully answer, is whether you walked through those doors because you wanted the life, or because some part of you needed to find out who you were willing to become, and that was the only way to ask. That question is still open. You carry it out of every room you enter. You know what to do if this one stayed with you. And tell me in the comments, was it the money you wanted, or just the proof that you could get it? Join the journey by hitting that subscribe button. Your support means the world to me.